You've bought your ticket and you walk out to the platform to wait for the next train. The crowds gather around you, all waiting excitedly to step into one of the historic carriages to experience this unique piece of history. The train enters the station. You step off the platform, enter the carriage and find a place to sit near a window. As the train starts to move off, you notice a man and a little girl standing on the platform, wearing clothes from the 1940s. Perhaps they're doing a reenactment, you think to yourself. But as you gaze at them, and they wave at the departing train, you realise that they start to fade away until they vanish completely. Welcome to Ghost Tales by the Fireside. In this episode, we travel along the tracks of the historic Severn Valley Railway, where the whispers of the past echo through time, carried on steam and shadow. Our story begins at Bridgnorth station, a Victorian time capsule dating back to the 1860s. Though it faced closure a century later, fate had other plans. The station was saved from demolition and reopened in the 1970s as part of the Severn Valley Heritage Line. But some of its original passengers, it seems, never left. Modern-day visitors often report seeing a peculiar sight on the platform. A man and a little girl, dressed in Edwardian finery, waving at passing trains. Many assume they are costumed performers, adding historical flavour to the experience. But when questioned, station staff shake their heads. No such performers are employed. People believe these figures are apparitions from the golden age of steam. Who they are and why they linger, eternally waving at trains that will never stop for them, remains a mystery that haunts this stretch of track. The platform spirits are not alone in haunting this historic railway. Beneath the town of Bridgnorth runs a disused railway tunnel, and in its darkness lurks something far more unsettling. Witnesses speak of a brightly coloured figure that appears in the gloom, bringing with it a wave of inexplicable terror. Some have fled the tunnel, hearts pounding, unable to explain their panic. Others have been frozen in place, watching as the mysterious illumination dances on the damp walls. A century ago, a railway worker met a gruesome end in this very tunnel, crushed by a heavy cart. Could the strange light be his ghostly lantern, forever searching the darkness? And does the fear that grips witnesses echo his final, terrifying moments? One of the most chilling tales from the Severn Valley Railway comes from Arley, where the ruins of Arley Castle hold dark secrets of their own. In 1954, a young railway enthusiast had an encounter that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The boy was just 13, taking photographs with his father's old camera. The castle was abandoned, but something drew him inside. As he explored the empty rooms, he felt watched. Then suddenly, everything changed. The boy found himself transported back to the 1800s, face to face with Lord Mount Norris, the cruel former owner of the castle. In this vision, he witnessed the Lord's violent opposition to the railway's construction, including a horrific incident involving a surveyor's apprentice in a vicious man-trap. When the vision ended, the boy met a kindly elderly man who revealed the truth behind his supernatural experience. The surveyor had indeed died from his injuries, not before cursing Lord Mount Norris, his descendants, and all who would live in the castle. The curse seemed to work. The Mount Norris line ended, and subsequent owners faced declining fortunes until the castle itself was demolished. The ghosts of the Severn Valley Railway don't only haunt its platforms and tunnels. Sometimes they seek out the living in the most intimate of spaces. In 1976, a young man from Evesham had an encounter that would challenge everything he believed about the boundary between the living and the dead. He had a week between jobs and wanted to make himself useful. The railway needed volunteers at Bewdley Station, so he stayed in one of the old sleeping carriages. They kept in a siding. They were very narrow. They were just 66 inches wide, with a bunk and an old sink that didn't work. Barely room to turn around. On his last night, he drifted off to sleep in his cramped compartment. But around 1 a.m, something woke him. He felt the sensation of not being alone. Then he heard voices that sounded like two teenage girls, speaking right behind where he lay. He heard the first girl say, "Isn't he peaceful? Shall we wake him?" The second girl said, No, leave him to sleep." He said that they sounded like sisters, with such sweet, soft voices. But his first thought wasn't about ghosts. It was, how did they get in here? There was barely room for himself, let alone two others. It was possible to force the door open with a screwdriver, but it would make a lot of noise. He'd been facing the wall, so he swung around to confront them. But the compartment was empty. Every pore in his body opened. He was drenched in sweat. He grabbed his torch and checked the neighbouring compartment, then all around outside. But there was nothing, no footsteps on the gravel, no giggling teenagers running away, just the faint hiss of a steam engine in the distance. He didn't sleep again that night. As his sweat dried, he grew terribly cold, huddling in his sleeping bag, but never finding warmth. The next day, he learnt that no teenagers were staying on site. Only older volunteers with young children. He kept that story to himself for a long time. Who'd believe it? But sometimes, on quiet nights, he still hears those gentle voices asking if they should wake him. The Severn Valley Railway of today is a testament to preservation. Running 16 miles from Bridgnorth to Kidderminster. Over 200,000 visitors a year enjoy its lovingly restored stations, signal boxes and magnificent steam locomotives. But as they travel through this living museum, few realise they're sharing the journey with passengers and workers from another time. The little girl and her companion still wave from Bridgnorth platform. The ghostly lantern still searches the darkness of the tunnel. The ruins of Arley Castle still hold their terrible secrets. And in a siding at Bewdley, two ghostly sisters still watch over sleeping volunteers, deciding whether to wake them. So the next time you ride the Severn Valley Railway, remember, you're not just travelling through space, but through time. And some of your fellow travellers, or perhaps your nighttime visitors, may have bought their tickets a very, very long time ago. Thank you for listening to Ghost Tales by the Fireside. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. It's very appreciated. You can find more information about the episodes on the website ghosttales.co.uk and on the Facebook and Instagram pages at Ghost Tales Podcast. All music, research, writing, production, art and sound effects are all my own work.